Hello, everybody. This is Paula Harris, and it's going to be so much fun to have a group chat with Julien Chameroy and Cynthia Sue Larson. We've been talking among ourselves anyway and getting really excited for the possibilities of sharing positive information in these very challenging times. And what we're going to concentrate today is, the title of this talk is Imagine. And as we know, both Julian and Cynthia are talking about oneness, and they're talking about imagining and creating something. And it's fun to play in the sandbox with everybody. I call it the sandbox because I like to get to a situation where what we do is like we're a bunch of kids just sharing ideas. So I don't know, Cynthia, let's let the guy be first. For the first time. Usually women are first, but let's let Julian be first. Julian is in California right now. He's leaving. I asked him if he's leaving for home because he lives in Paris, France. So, Julian, tell us something about yourself so that the people that don't know you can get to know you, and then we'll get to Cynthia.
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. My name is Julien Chameroy. I'm French. I'm a French citizen. I come to California from time to time, but my residence is actually Paris, France. And so I met Paula in Paris last time she visited Paris. And I was actually her translator for a MUFON event. And so we get to, see each other in Paris and talk and, exchange a lot of things. And one thing we have in common is that we see the UFO phenomenon has something greater than what it is. It's really about consciousness and spirituality. So that's also what I do because I'm an experiencer. I've seen twice UFOs, and after that, I had an experience that is called the oneness experience, when you have your consciousness, expanding to something greater than yourself, and then you realize that the universe and yourself are connected and all this. And I became an author because I wrote a book about this experience. But the thing is, the book is not in French or not in English, but it's in Japanese. I do speak Japanese. I work as a translator between French and Japanese for various events. And so my book got published in Japan. And little that I know, Japanese people are very, very sensitive to the oneness dimension of things, the spirituality, and I just discover a whole other world. And this is why we're talking about Japan today.
And yeah, and also add the fact that you're very popular. You give these huge lectures in Japan, and
That's
it's take French. You take the French people to Japan, and the Japanese to Paris, or I don't know if you the other way around.
Well, one thing I'm trying to do is I'm trying to build bridges because what I think is, me personally, as a French person, I go to Japan and I see so many things that I think could help French people better understand spirituality or what is, the oneness experience and all that, and vice versa. So I thought, well, we have a great thing here. Why don't we just exchange and make something happen between us? And when you do so, I think that both sides can greatly, learn from one and another. And this is when we can just, get to a point where you better understand what an expansion of consciousness is. So that's what I'm trying to do as much as possible.
And you're bringing some Japanese friends to Creststone.
That's correct.
Yeah. So it's becoming my dream. It's becoming international. And I was in Japan at this time last year speaking to Japanese people. I translated Connecting the Dots in Japanese. And what I can say about that, just from being a Western person, European, because I was born in Italy, is that the culture is totally different and already attuned to spiritual values. I mean, it's a very old culture. So they are already there when you're talking about, my book is from UFOs to consciousness. Well, they already there. I don't have to explain, anything about wisdom of the past, because all these temples and these shrines and the way they live so simply with nature. And so it's wonderful for me to share with the Japanese in August this year and have them share with us. So thank you for the introduction. I love Julien. He's so uplifting. And it and the
Thank you.
and you have a lot of good food too. He used to have a restaurant in Paris. What was it? All pancakes?
Pancakes, exactly. Yes.
I'm going, okay, you can go to Paris and start a pancake restaurant. But the thing about Julien is that I felt when I met him that he was an angel sent to me to build a bridge, to work together. And I feel the same way about Cynthia. Cynthia came to Creststone last year, and everybody loved her because she has a very unique background. I mean, people were taking notes like crazy because she has this scientific background to consciousness. So, Cynthia, for the people that don't know you, will you say something about yourself?
Okay, yes, I've been a lifelong first, I guess I call myself a seeker, but also an experiencer of consciousness, and really, I guess you could call it alternate states of consciousness, not through drugs, not through drugs. That's the easiest way to say it. There's just too much going on with my background. Something I didn't talk about until when I met Paula, and I chose Paula and her group at the time to talk about some of my experiences, is because I didn't really uh, I'm very picky, let's put it that way, very selective. And it seems like the field of ufology has been something of a mess. I don't want to say anything bad about it, but there we are. So, so I love the groups that Paula puts together. I love the integrity that Paula brings. I love that she's got this Mexican TV show going. So I'm just thrilled about that, thrilled to be part of it. I met Paula, we were talking about robots backstage at Gaia. She was there. Well, that's when we really got a chance to chat. And it turned out the robots she had were some that I had recently written an article about and how they were becoming self-aware. So my background is in physics. It's in information technology. I've worked with information security. I've worked at Citibank. I've been a project manager. But none of that really matters as much to me as what I've been doing for the past 25 years, which is writing about consciousness and about the way our reality is created by us. It's through our imagination. We literally create it. And so this is probably the most important topic in our time, is to discuss not so much the contact experience itself, although that's certainly a pivot point, and it's something I'm excited to participate in. I love the CE5s that we do in Creststone. Looking forward to that. But it's about the awareness that we are already completely loved, and that we are much more capable of doing a lot more than we realize. And that's something I've been consistently sharing through the science, through the quantum physics, through my books. My most recent one is The Mandela Effect and Its Society, Awakening from Me to We. And that's something I've had phenomenal experiences with these interdimensional beings, and also just there's so much more to say. I don't know how to summarize it and keep it in a tight little packet. But let me just say that I can feel when people have the integrity and have the vision that Paula and Julien do. And so that's why I'm really excited to be part of what you guys are doing, to do this together, and to form this community that we're joining together with today, to start imagining together how good it can get for all of us.
And you've inspired me. I mean, when everybody was taking notes, I was taking notes too. It's like I thought, oh my God, it's like I'm learning from a professor. And I all kinds of things that I don't know because I see it as a mystery. But what Cynthia does is put a scientific background to it. A lot of people try to do that, in noetics with Dean Radin, entanglement, and the science. what they do is try to explain something that's real. And
Yes.
I'm fascinated with the way you do it, Cynthia, because you really do your homework. When you do a presentation, there's the book, there's you connect all of the same thing. The great visionaries, we're all on the same wavelength. The great visionaries,
We are.
is that true, Julien?
No, I was going to say we are on the same wavelength. Absolutely. Especially when Cynthia says from the me to the we. That's definitely what we need now. We need to form a community and just act as a community. I love that word. Community is such a key word.
Yeah, and also, I think that not everybody talks about it, but people are inspired, and you're very much inspired, Julien, because you told me when you met me that you had contact, and a lot of times a lot of the ideas come to your head.
That's right. Exactly. I love that inspiration. That's how I call it. Yeah.
So so
Yeah.
so it
Every time you put yourself out of the ordinary, and you can do that in your everyday life, and that's what I like to do. Put a little distance between you and your mind, and then next thing you know, all the inspiration is coming flowing. So I love that.
and you also it's I watch your posts on Facebook, and you notice beauty, and you notice food. Those are two things you know.
And I notice, yeah, beauty in food is definitely something for sure. But I think it's important for us in our everyday life to just stop, look around, and see how many beautiful things you have around you. It could be the small little thing, the small little detail, doesn't matter. It is beautiful. And the act of recognizing it and say, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. I feel so grateful for this to be right next to me. It could be a bird, it could be a plant, it could be your house. It could be your neighbor, whatever it is, or your plate could be a stack of pancakes you have in front of you for breakfast. Just, that feeling is so important.
Yeah, and what I don't think I can do it, but what I saw on Facebook when you took the group to Japan, you went into very simple Japanese homes, and you even slept on mats, and you lived the culture the way the culture is meant to be lived.
Hmm. That's right. That's right. One thing about the Japanese experiences that I'm trying to give to the people that are following me into Japan is um, I mean, you don't need much. What you need is make that switch in your mind and just embrace the experience. And once you embrace the experience, it allows you to go further than you would expect. And so that's really what I'm trying to create every time doing those tours.
Yeah, and the fact that we are going to have almost 15 Japanese guests in
Hmm.
part of the audience, I see Creststone in August being something amazing because
Hmm.
my worldview has always been international. I mean, like Cynthia said, I don't have a show in the United States. My show is out of Mexico City in Spanish. So in the United States, I don't even know. You use the word mess, but it's very confusing. I think what the focus in the United States is that the messages or the information comes from outside, comes from the government, it comes from outside, and that's not the way it is. The information or what we need comes from inside, and it comes from the ground up, not from the top down. In fact, anything of my 45 years with working in this field, I realize that anything that comes from the top down, I have to question. So I don't wait every day for the government to do disclosure. I already know there's disclosure. And if I need to ask a question, I'll go outside, like Julien says, in nature and ask the question. And I may not get the answer right away, but I may get it down the road when I need it. And when I was in Paris, I really needed to at the very end there, when I met Julien, I was very, very depressed. I was in a state of what should I do with my life? And he came to the hotel, and I remember looking at him, and he said, "I'm here." He said, "I'm here." And he said, "We got to look at oneness." So, Julien, I am forever grateful to you for joining this group. And there's so many people like Jeff, Cynthia. So I don't know if you want to address that the answers are inside, even though we could do all the studying we want to do.
Yes, of course. So the one thing that we tend to get in the West, it's so interesting that we've got different nationalities being talked about today, because what I see when I travel to the East, whether it's Korea, I've also been to Japan, and these Eastern countries have a understanding that is intrinsic to their cultural knowing, which is that logic is different. In America, we tend to think things are very objective. We assume it's true and false. We assume that there are facts that don't change. I'm saying these are assumptions because I find them all to be untrue. There's a benefit when you come with an Eastern way of seeing that you've got true, you've got false, you've got true and false, and not true, not false. So there's a much more, it's fourfold logic that is part of Asian thinking, as well as this appreciation for the intrinsic respect for nature, the intrinsic respect for every single thing, not to take anything for granted, but to see within it beauty and consciousness. And that's such a different way of doing things. When I visited Japan, I was 10 years old the first time, and I felt I'd gone to heaven. I thought, finally, there's a place on earth that feels like there's some sort of serenity here. There's so much respect and so much peace that I could feel, whether it was Nara Deer Park or a ryokan, which is a spa with beautiful bathing, sleeping on tatami mats, all of that. Just the whole lifestyle, I loved it. As a child, I loved it. And I didn't expect I'd love it. I'd come from Africa. I'm not going to say anything bad about any other place. My parents wanted us to see all the places in the world before they changed. But to come from Africa to Japan was like, wow, totally in heaven here. So when I see this way of seeing things that's so different, we can't assume that humans everywhere are the same and have the same training because we're very different. And even within our cultures, we're very different. I'm very different within my culture for sure. So to go back to your question, what is this about the oneness? It's so important for us to recognize that we have access to everything on the inside, such as all the great teachers have taught. And the way to get to it is to go within, to become familiar with our internal response to our environment. And we're always broadcasting, we're constantly sending, we just don't know we're doing it. We're just sending, broadcasting our thoughts, our feelings. And the physicist John Archibald Wheeler tells us that when you ask nature questions, nature answers. It always does. So learning to become respectful with the way that we're broadcasting and to recognize that everyone is telepathic. Everyone knows what we're thinking on some deep level, which is kind of weird. And even things do. That's part of our maturation. We're in a big, huge evolutionary growth spurt right now, humanity overall. And so to change our appreciation for the way that information has to come from our leaders, I think that's changing. It has changed in the last 4 years. So the oneness concept, from a physics standpoint, you might think the unified theory of everything. And that would be unifying the physics of the universe with the physics of the quantum physics. And it hasn't quite happened yet with their interpretations attempting to do that. But we'll be, I think, sharing just with our shared awareness of who each of us are individually and who we can be as we imagine it, so we can become it. And these are big topics. It's when I look at oneness, it seems like a deceptively simple concept, yet it instantly challenges us to ask, why is there anything at all? That's philosophy. Why does it exist? How does it exist? That's physics. Who am I? That's again philosophy. And these are very big questions, but they're all part of this oneness. And when you go deep and feel, who am I? Why is there anything? How is there anything? How good can I be? How good can it get for everyone? How good can it get for me? How good can I get? Magical things start to happen, and the oneness experience activates. It's sort of like something happens on the inside that's so exciting, and it feels like there's so much love and so much energy that literally miracles happen, as Paula got to see when we got locked out of our apartment last time. It was pretty funny. Yeah.
When we couldn't get back in and somebody had left the back door open.
Yes.
Oh, it was, well, I always call them mysteries. And I wanted, and Julian, I know since she mentioned oneness, is that the title of your book? And you said you may have it ready by August?
So the book I published in Japan is called Doorway to Oneness. It has an English title, but it's in Japanese, and the version in English would be ready for August. So yeah, I'm very excited about that. Very excited because, as Cynthia said, the oneness experience is something that many, many people actually have experienced. But once you experience it, going back to your everyday life is always difficult because there's a gap between those two realities. And I believe that our homework right now is to find a bridge to build in between those two sides in order to reduce that gap. And so traveling from the me to the we, building a community is definitely part of that homework. Um, but for first, the oneness experience, what is it exactly? Me personally, the first time I had that experience, I didn't know what it was. I thought maybe my mind has going on a trip and it seems too beautiful to be true. Maybe I should go see a doctor and ask for help. Um, but it was such a blissful experience. And that experience, I had that after seeing UFOs. So, from what I know from the phenomena at the time, it doesn't make any sense to have that beautiful experience after seeing UFOs. That's not what I read. That's not what I heard from TV and all that. And yet, it was connected. And now I understand better why it is connected. It's because, like you said, Paula, the message is coming from within. We are here to help if you want to go further onto the exploration of consciousness, finding your way back to what the universe is all about, which is love, acceptance, growth. Then here's some keys. Open the door, see what's behind it, and let's go on this path together. That's what the core message is from all this UFO that we saw. This is what my experience is about when it comes to UFO, at least.
Well, thank you for sharing that because it makes it really clear. Because what you did, I mean, you jumped into consciousness. I had to go do all the data. I had to just do nuts and bolts. I had to do all the reporting and all the interviewing. And then at the very end, I said, it's got to be more than this. And what I called the paranormal started to jump in. And when it's not paranormal, it's all part of the old one. But I wanted to share a story with everybody I shared it on Facebook, but when the Pope died this week, I remembered that I had been to Antonio Urzi's house in Milano in 2023. And I went there to bring James Fox so that Urzi, who from his balcony films up close and personal metal UFOs that come right over the house. He's married with 2 children. He's been doing it for 20 years. I knew him because he's Italian. He's in Milano. I knew him 20 years ago. But just before I went there in 2023, Antonio Uzzi sends me a movie, and most of what he does is a movie. It's not CGI photos of the rosary hanging in midair. A whole entire rosary. I don't know if you saw it on my Facebook because Urzi sends it to me and he says, and it's beautiful. It's got all white beads and then it has a blue cross and it's floating in the sky. And I remembered that and I thought I could use it for my show. So I called, you know me, I called Milano. I just picked up the phone. I called them and I said, Antonio, could I have that movie? Because the Pope just died and I want to explain. Urzi didn't take, what Urzi did was one day he went out on his balcony and said, can I film something spiritual instead of a UFO. Actually said, can I film something spiritual? And this rosary, and it's big, it's floating right in front of him. And I'm going to show that in Creststone. I'm going to show the movie because he let us have it. He let me and Jaime, my son, have the movie. But then I tried to figure out who's he talking to and how did that happen? And I don't think like they're Christian ETs. I think that what they did was show a sign in the sky to answer his background, which was Catholic. I mean, if it had been like in Tibet, maybe they would have had a Buddha in the sky or whatever it is. But that's how much power, that's how powerfully creative we are. That he could, it's a movie. So it's a film. And it's a great film because he's out there, he doesn't expect it, and he yells, Simone, Simone, Thomas, and you can hear him screaming. The thing is when I do my PowerPoint, I will also show a cross of UFOs over St. Petersburg, Florida, just before Hurricane Katrina. So I will show that we do get messages. And again, I don't think the ETs are necessarily religious. It's just that's what we understand. So they'd have to use our symbols and our rituals in order to communicate with us. What do you think about that, Cynthia?
I think that's true. I recently was, they're very instantly telepathic too. So when I'm in, I notice sometimes a thought is not mine. And because I work with clients and I'm good at interpreting a telepathic thought, like you can tell the difference, my thought, someone else's thought. So I was just carrying garbage out outdoors a couple of weeks ago, and I got the thought in my mind, look up and see if you see anything. I thought, well, there's a lot of sky glow here. I live in San Francisco, probably won't see anything. I look up, I don't see anything. But then I get a response back, another thought coming through. It's not my thought, but it's a thought saying, sometimes these show up as airplanes. And I'm thinking, yeah, that's true. So I've now put the garbage away and I look up again because now I hear an airplane directly over my head. And I look at it, but it doesn't look quite right. It looks bigger than it should be. Let's put it that way. Almost twice as big as it should be, with lights on it that don't belong to an airplane. So what I'm saying is, yeah, I'm starting to okay, let's make this really quick. It was weird, and I got annoyed with it. I thought this is stupid looking. It's like a toy airplane. It's like some inflated thing with lights on the body in a pattern, and then lights on the wings. No red, no green, none of the legal required lighting that there should be. And as soon as I looked away, then it makes a sound like it's crashing, kind of like for 3 seconds of that. And I look up and it goes back to the normal sound. And I'm like, this is obviously it became obvious in that moment. And this is before I saw the rosary in the sky. I realized they can make things look like anything they want it to look and sound like. And I did not have a camera with me, so I didn't record it. But it was extraordinary to realize that at that level of conscious agency that these beings possess, which we are growing into. I think at some point we'll be able to do that too. Maybe we're quite a ways from that, but right now, that's just amazing. So I believe that there is no chicanery, there's no trickery involved with this rosary in the sky. When I hear about that, I think I've seen something just as unbelievable as that. An airplane that looks like they've inflated it like a toy. They've lit things on it that don't belong there. It's amazing. So clearly, anything's possible at a level that we're only beginning to recognize. And I think if you were to say there's a UFO that looks like a rosary, people will say it's going to sound, they'll say it's either stupid or that's amazing, but it doesn't sound like anything anyone's heard of. And I think that's a hallmark of this whole phenomenon. When I was 5 years old, I have a cover story of where I was talking with a pilot of an airplane, and I know that doesn't make any sense. He was flying over the house and saying, "Hello, how are you down there?" I was with my mom, and I said, "We're fine." And we had a conversation. When I think back on that, like, oh, that does not make sense, but it did happen. So it fits in the whole phenomena. Absolutely, these things do happen. Consciousness is the key. we're getting an invitation to awaken ourselves, to really imagine, like when we are telepathic, when anything's possible, to create almost anything. Are we ready to join this adventure? And I think we are. And from love, from wishing how good can it get for everyone. And I mean, it comes from that level of maturity and that kind of love and feeling that we don't have to be afraid, because the connection that I've been feeling, it sounds like what you, both of you have been feeling as well, is very loving, very supportive, just tremendous love. And so that's the key here too.
Yeah, and I think one of the things is we have to keep an open mind. I mean, if we started with judgment right away, and that's one of the problems, judgment. You don't use your logic all the time, because there's a lot of this is not logical. So if we have an open mind and an open heart, I found that most of my research that is valid was in Latin America, because those people have the big heart, and they don't spend
Yes.
their life in their brain trying to figure it out, because it's very difficult to figure it out. And I'll sum it up by saying a lot of this stuff is just to get our attention. It doesn't even mean anything. It's just wake up. It's just to get our attention. So, Julien, do you want to touch on this as far as awakening? Because even like your lectures in Japan, and you did some lectures in California too, it's about awakening.
Yes, thank you. Yes, it's definitely about awakening. What I do in Japan is I share my experience, but a lot of time, most of the participants had the same experience. And that's why Japan is so important for us now, is because they are on really the avant-garde of the spiritual movement and understanding the whole UFO phenomenon. Every time I go to Japan, I'm always surprised how open you can talk about it. Japanese people are very positive about it. They know that we're not the only one in the universe. That's a fact. It's logical for them. And they are coming from the gratefulness of knowing they're not alone. They are going through prayers towards nature, but also towards the universe, saying, thank you for being here. I'm sure you did that for us. It's already part of our everyday life. And it's so funny. And because of that, as a result, many Japanese people see UFOs in their everyday life. There's a lot of videos, a lot of picture taken of them, because more and more they are vibrating on the same strength. It's totally normal. And this is where I think the UFO phenomenon is just a little hello, hello, are you here? Can we talk? Just like a telephone ring if you want. And are you ready to pick up the phone and talk? It is not about the phone itself. We don't care about the phone. What we care about is, are you ready to listen and ask questions and, exchange? That's really what it's about.
Well, that's a great explanation. Also, it's to unify, to the idea that we're not different. There is
Mhm.
separation,
Absolutely.
and just in general, because you're international, do you see the planet being separated?
You mean in different cultures or?
And
Well, what I see personally is I do speak Japanese, obviously French, English as well. I lived in Taiwan, so that I do speak Mandarin as well. I can see that each and every culture has something specific to it, based on the history, based on the language, based on the country and all that. So we do have a different focus when it comes to consciousness. I'm not going to say that one focus is better than the other one. Each and every focus brings something different on the table. And so I believe that we can learn from each other that way. If we talk about consciousness, what's happening inside here? I heard something coming from, an invisible spirit, for example, or from a UFO. This is what I heard. Is it just me making it up, or is it just a feeling? Or, we have to open that dialogue. I find myself in France in a situation where I could not speak about my experience because no one would hear about it. I've seen a UFO, I heard many things, and I can share it. So if you cannot share it, then what do you do? But I was able to share it in Japan because Japanese people were open to the idea, open to the dialogue, and yet, thanks to them, I finally could exchange and move forward and integrate that experience. And I came back to France with an integrated experience that I was now able to share with the French people. So that's why I think, building bridges is so important right now.
That's a really good description because it's a cultural description of the way we do it. In my personal case, because of my job, I'm an investigative journalist. I spent all my time just trying to prove there were UFOs without, and prove it because I was interviewing astronauts, I was interviewing military people. So told me about it, and he was at White Sands. He worked in the Pentagon. I mean, there's so much data, but data didn't change anything. I mean, there isn't even a point where you're really dumb if you say there's no data and that we have to pilot to see a tic tac over San Diego to know there's UFOs. In 1979, Alan Hynek, Gordon Cooper, the astronaut Stanton Friedman, and Jacques Vallée went to the United Nations to open this up. If they're going to the United Nations, it's not a joke. Paul Hellyer, the former defense minister, used it as a national security issue. It's real, but that I found out in my career, and this will be my talk in Creststone, that it didn't make any difference. I could give you all the data in the world. What made a difference, what makes a difference, and what it means, is what the messages are, is what they have been trying, all the contacts, all the witnesses, all the contactees, all the experiencers, what they have been trying to tell us is the real thing. I don't know which one of you said it's not about the telephone, but it's about the message. It's about the communication.
Absolutely. For me, that you can have all the data you want. It doesn't matter. The experience is what matters. And they are ready. It's us not picking up the phone. So let's pick up the phone and start the dialogue.
Yeah, and actually, there's Stephanie and there's different people that have come to Creststone, so they know that it's not just lectures. Mm-hmm. We do C5s at night on mm-hmm. I'm having a big circle made, and because there's no trees, you see the whole Milky Way if it's not raining, and it very rarely rains. But you're out there in meditation. I mean, you could be in a sanctuary and meditate too. But the biggest, most beautiful sanctuary is Creststone. For me, that place, it's remote. People say, well, you have to get on an airplane and go for 4 hours. Well, of course. You got to get away from civilization. What do you want to do? New York City? You want to meditate in the middle of New York City with all it's a remote enough place where whatever is going to connect with us can connect with us. So on Saturday night and on Friday and Saturday nights, we always do, and Cynthia, you were there last year. Talk a little E5s.
Yeah, that's such a wonderful experience. It's Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, which means that we are initiating that contact starting from a really beautiful place of that oneness consciousness, that love within ourselves, and then sending out basically an invitation to these beings to come and join us. We can actually we often use a prompting tape, so there are sounds that are very positive that get us in the right state of mind, and then we can mentally picture where we are. It's just so that those beings, wherever they may be, can instantly find their way to our solar system, to our planet, to our exactly where we are on the planet right then. And we had some amazing things happen last year at Creststone, including many people were noticing shared experiences that we would then talk about. And they were powerful experiences. People would get individual experiences and then some shared things that we would collectively sense, such as the sound of water running or someone's footsteps when nobody was walking and there was no water. There's no creek running but in the middle of our gathering. But very interesting and very, like I said, very powerful, very meaningful transmissions and communications came through. So, and then we'd have a chance to talk about it and share it. So, I think it was one of the high points of the whole retreat, really. It's just that invitation to make that connection. And once we make it, then it's made. So then you've got friends for the rest of our lives that you have now connected with. And it's a beautiful way to keep going from that me to the we and keep building this bridge that Julien is talking about toward oneness for the planet. So I can't imagine a better place than Creststone to do that. It seems perfect.
You know, when I did it, and the reason why that I chose Creststone is because I was in the movie Sirius with Dr. Stephen Greer, and he's sitting next to me, and he looks at me and he goes, "Why would you want to do anything else?" He's like, "What?" And I'm going, "Okay." But Julien, just to tell you, I can only do it there because if I take a chair and go out here in the middle of the forest by myself as a woman, I am really nervous. So, as as a woman who's scared to death, to do CE5 in some forest by myself, or even on somebody's land by myself, I look forward to these opportunities because I know I'm safe. I've got a group of people around me. It might be different for guys. It might be different for guys, but we're going to do one here in May now on the 24th with Grant Cameron and Desta Barnum, and it's all on psychic phenomena and testing psychic phenomena. And so I'm looking forward to it because I need it. I need to go under the stars. It's like a need. It's like feeding your soul. It's just that I can't do it alone because I'm just afraid to go out there with a chair and sit. So when I have this group of people that I have, even all of you that tuned in, know that we can make a difference. And that Julien keeps using the word bridge. That is what we were born to do in 2000 in this period of time. Because there's people who go, why was I born now? There's quite a bit of stress, but why were you born now? You were born to do something, and you're born to contribute something, and you're born to even change the reality just a tiny bit by your very existence on the planet. So why are we born now, Cynthia?
This is a time of great transformation. And when we look at some of the things like the Mandela effect, which my new book is about that, it's noticing that anything can change. And it looks like when we wonder, why is this happening? What could be doing it? There are all kinds of conspiracy theories, but I don't subscribe to those, such as the scientists at CERN are doing something with the Large Hadron Collider. Could they be? Maybe. But I think what's much bigger and much more exciting and interesting and more real is that collectively we are doing this. It's like we've been given a sandbox of reality to play in, and we're the ones noticing that the kidneys in our body can be now raised more under to the safety of inside of our rib cage when they used to be lower down. Now we're the ones changing all sorts of things, just little things, fun things, playful things. I don't see a lot of terrible things happening with that. So the reason that we have been born now is we're needed right now. This is the gateway, as the Hopi would say, into the fifth world. We're leaving the fourth world. They say that there will be seven worlds. They say that the ant people come, that you can follow the moving star by night, the cloud by day, and you will find your way into the next world. They say this has happened many times. This is the fourth world according to the Hopi. And I wrote an article about this comes true, being hoped for Parabola magazine about 20 years ago, because this is such an important idea. We're here at this time to be the shepherds and the guardians and the gateway keepers as this door opens. It is a door into oneness. And there's a lot of love coming through for those of us who are very powerful sensitive empaths, we especially wonder why we're born at this time. We are needed at this time because we're the ones that can feel the true connections to the star family, to the star people, the beings who genuinely love us the most, and they do. It's such a it's an extraordinary feeling, that love that comes through. And Julian, I know you felt it. I think you felt it too, Paula. But at the same time, the contact can be scary when you're face to face with these beings. That's so I think humanity needs those of us who are courageous enough to face the unknown, to trust our intuition, to be the seers and the gatekeepers and the visionaries that we are, and to make the best of this and to form bridges with one another on the planet, including the materialists who do not even believe that consciousness is fundamental. That would be the big group of people that I find to be the least understanding of this whole phenomenon and what's going on. But they're part of the humanity too. So how do we do this together? How good can it get for all of us? And I think this is just super exciting. So I'm happy to be here. And for me, the best part of all is this gathering that we're doing right now and these in-person gatherings in Creststone. There's just nothing that even matches that than to get together with people who care as deeply as we do about this all together. The energy is just off the hook, just from the gathering of the people right there.
Yeah, and Julian, I don't know if you want to add anything about this because the idea that we get this opportunity to live in this time period. I mean, all my friends are looking at all the glass half empty and all the political stuff and all the, all the negative stuff. And of course, that energy just brings you right down. It brings you right down. You have to look at the possibilities. So can you add anything to that?
Yes, I see the time you're in right now an incredible time in terms of creativity. You have all the tools you need to be creative full speed, and I love it. So if you just, use your time you have to be creative, because that really nourishes your soul. Every time you have a little time, 30 minutes, an hour, just to express that creativity, you can really feel it here in the heart chakra. And I just live for that personally. I just love it.
So because you're already in that space, you're able to share it with other people. And that's, and it's easy for you. You don't have to create it. You live in that space. I find it, I know this sounds crazy, but I find it as a lifestyle. Would you call it a lifestyle, Cynthia?
Oh yes, yeah. It's a choice and it's a lifestyle and it's contagious. You can
It's a
feel
choice, yeah.
I can feel it right through the Zoom. I can feel Julian's contagious creativity, and I love it.
I
Just
hope
to
it
be in,
is.
oh, it is, I can feel it. So for us to be around people who have that contagious joy, and never mind what's happening politically. I'm glad you brought that up, Paula, because you're right. A lot of people are very concerned, and it's easy to get concerned. I've gotten
Whoops.
concerned, and I've had basically instant connection from the ETs basically instantly when I start getting a little bit depressed. Boy, they just cheer me right back up. So I think we've got spirit guides. We've got this connection. We've got the ability to be who we're meant to be here at this time, to show up at the best level that we can bring. Of course, some days are not as good as others, but like the joy of coming together collectively can collectively bring us to a much higher place. We can receive sort of a samadhi transmission, if you will, of the love and the connection that we're willing to share with one another when we do come together. And it's just like gaining all sorts of connectivity and skills and talents that you never knew you had. And to come away with a great deal more creativity, more passion, and more just effervescent cheerfulness and optimism that you might never have even had before. So a lot of things are possible.
Julian, you want to add to that? I watch your travels on Facebook, and you have more fun than anybody I know. It's like because of the way that you view your world view, the way that you view the world.
So that's funny you said that, because every time it's time for me to either go back to France or to go to Japan, people ask me, are you ready to go? Are you ready to go? And I say, well, I am ready to go because it's a state of mind. You have to make the switch inside you. And then when you make the switch inside you, then everything is possible. So I don't have time for anxiety. I want to use that time into a more positive way. So being grateful first and the joy and being creative, this is how I want to use my time. And that's a decision that I'm making. And because I made that decision, then I connect right away to that vibration and off we go. That's how I do it.
Yeah, so what you're basically saying is that life is a choice.
Well, life is very short. So each and every second, just a blessing. So I'm always thankful for that. Oh my gosh, another wonderful day today. That was great. I took some pictures of marvelous things, whatever it is, food or nature, and go on and just, be free. Just accept and enjoy the ride. That's how I see it.
And in the end, I think that's really wise because that's all there is. I mean, that's it. That's the idea that, and I always think, well, did we come to this planet? Is this the first time we came here? People say, well, why are you so positive thinking? Well, because I want to experience everything. Otherwise, I would have gone somewhere else. I would have gone to
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
and that includes the food, and that includes the nature, and that includes the waterfall, and that includes meeting people, and that includes, so in my little world, I am just the great connector. I connect people, and I'm so happy to be able to connect you and Cynthia in Creststone, the 23rd and 24th, and I think it's 23rd, 24th, and 25th of August of this year. But also, you're giving me the greatest gift of all. You're bringing an international flavor, which I can't do because I don't travel as much anymore. And I want to encourage people from other places to come and share their knowledge with us. So I'm going to end this conversation right now because the people that are here are so wonderful. I'm sure they have questions for you. So I want to just say thank you very, very much because what I'm going to do is close this lecture now with a few ending thoughts. Cynthia, do you want to say a few things?
Yes, we are powerful creators. We don't usually see it because we need to practice it and really be aligned with ourselves in order to see the great results. So, to get practice at that, just keep asking questions that you want to live the answer to. So, instead of what next and how bad can it get, it asks things like how good can it get, just like what we're talking about today. And you can add that question to everything you're doing, no matter how messed up things may seem, and prepare yourself for straight out miracles because they will arrive. So,
Wow.
thank you.
Okay, Julien.
Yes, I love what Cynthia just said, actually. I love the open dialogue you can have. You can have it with yourself, you can have it with the universe. The first question I'm always asking myself is, are you here right now? Are you able to see all the beautiful things that are around you? Yes or no? And usually I turn around and say, oh my gosh, yes, that's beautiful. That's what we call the moment, the present moment. And if you live in that present moment, then wow, you have all the doors open to really have, fulfill one day or, a life, if you want to call it life. But it's, for me, that's really a mindset to have. And you can train yourself. Everything is possible, you know? So training yourself to see this and to have that mindset is also possible.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks for being part of this. I'm going to stop the recording now. Let me go to oh God, I pressed the wrong button. I pressed the leave meeting button instead. Let's go to here.